Hello, everyone! Today, let's hook this panda together. A very cute panda. This is the front of pandas. And then, let's look at the reverse. Very cute. As for the beginners, they can also be hooked quickly. Next, we begin to crochet. Wrap the yarn around your finger and take it off. Lay the yarn with your left hand. Then change your left hand and pinch this place. Crochet in. Wrap the yarn around and pull it over. Then you hook the yarn with a crochet. Pull this little loop. This is a chain stitch. Next, we hook a single crochet in the loop. Threading crochet presses the yarn and pulls it over and through the two loops. This is a single crochet. Mark the first single crochet. What's next? The crochet presses the yarn and pulls it over, then through two loops. This is the second single crochet, then the third stitch. As for our first round, we hooked a total of 6 single crochets. As for the single crochet, we used the letter X to represent it. The first round is the hook 6X. We're rehooking the body parts now. Let's take a look. After hooking 6 single crochets, pull this little yarn tail really tight. The first round is done. So then we went for the second round. For the second round, we need to hook 6 increases. Increases are represented by the letter for V. First of all, we threaded the crochet through the first stitch of the mark. Hook the first single crochet. Just cross these 2 yarns horizontally. The end of the yarn is hooked horizontally on one side. Hook the first single crochet. Mark it well. And then crochet a single crochet in the first stitch again. This is an increase. 1 increase is equal to 2 single crochets in each stitch, denoted by the letter V. Thread the crochet through the second stitch. Hook another 1 increase. That's 2 single crochets in the third stitch. What about the second round? We just hooked all 6 increases. After the second round is hooked, there are 12 single crochets. Everyone follow me to hook this second round. Okay, the second round is hooked. We used a stitching method of a spiral hook. So after each round is hooked, no need to hook a slip stitch to connect. Next round, hook a single crochet inside the first stitch. Mark it well. Then hook an increase in the second stitch. 1 single crochet and 1 increase. It's a combination. Repeat 6 times. Next, hook a second time. A single crochet is hooked inside the third stitch. There is an increase inside the fourth stitch. Okay, according to this method, hook all the next 4 times. After the third round, there are 18 single crochets. And we learned to look at this crochet diagram. We can see the diagram later. Hook a small part alone. The single crochet is represented by the letter X. The increase is represented by the letter for V. All right, the third round is done. What's next? We continue to hook the fourth round. We just follow the diagram to hook. So first of all, let's hook a single crochet. A single crochet is hooked inside the first stitch. Mark it well. Then hook an increase in the second stitch. That is, hook 2 single crochets. What's next? 2 single crochets and 1 increase. Repeat the hook 5 times. Finally, Hook a separate single crochet. Let's hook 2 single crochets first. Then an increase. 2 single crochets, 1 increase. This is a combination. Repeat hook 5 times. Next hook a second time. 2 single crochets. 1 increase. It was hooked the second time. And a third time, 2 single crochets. 1 increase. The third time it's done. And then a fourth time. 2 single crochets and 1 increase. Okay, fifth time, 2 single crochets. 1 increase. Okay, after hooking these 5 times, and then there's a single stitch. We can hook a single crochet separately. Then the fourth round is done. There are 24 single crochets in this round. Next, we continue to hook the fifth round. 3 single crochets and 1 increase is a group. Repeat the hook 6 times. Let's hook. First we hook 3 individual single crochets. 3x occupies 3 stitches. Hook a single crochet inside the first stitch and mark it. The second stitch. The third stitch. These are the 3 single crochets. Next, an increase is hooked inside the fourth stitch. 3 single crochets, 1 increase. It's a combination. This round is hooked 6 times in total. It was hooked the second time. So let's follow this method. Just hook this fifth round well. After the fifth through in D. Next, look at the diagrams. Hook all the 6th to 13th rounds. I put the diagram on the screen. Okay, we've been following the diagram hooked to round 13. 42 single crochets. After hooking, lengthen the end of this yarn. Cut directly. Next, we need to replace it with this black yarn. We first put the part at the end of the yarn. Connect it. Use this suture needle to connect. Let's take a look. This is the first stitch. Skip it. We thread the needle from the position of the second stitch. And we find the last of the single crochet. Pick its back loop of the stitch, along with this little loop below. Go through like this. The end of the yarn we left is relatively short. We threw it like this, so it's connected. So what's next? The round 14. We're threading the crochet right where the thread is broken. That's it. Substitute the black yarn. Just hook the yarn. Pull over. Hold down this end of the yarn. Hook a chain stitch first, and then you thread the crochet through the stitches. Hook a single crochet. Put this white yarn tail and black yarn tail across one side together. Hooks like this. Okay, the first single crochet is hooked. Mark it well. And next, we can continue to hook. On rounds 14 and 15, we just hooked 1 single crochet in each stitch. Hook these 42 single crochets. There's a single crochet in each stitch. So you going to follow me. First hook this 14th round. After the hook is done, we need to hook a slip stitch to connect. As we mark, hook a slip stitch into the first single crochet. Then hook the yarn and hook it over. Take it directly to the back loop and tighten. This is a slip stitch. The next round 15, round 16, round 17. At the end, we all need to hook a slip stitch to connect. After connecting, we will hook again. It's the 15th round to hook a chain stitch first, and then you do the 15th round. It still has one single crochet in each stitch. Mark the first stitch. Everyone follow me. Hook the round 15. Okay, take a look. We hooked it on round 15. After the hook is done, we need to hook a slip stitch to connect it. Thread the crochet at the position of the first stitch. Hook the yarn and pull it over. Then tighten the back loop. This is a slip stitch. And round 16, 5 single crochets and 1 decrease is a group. Repeat the hook 6 times. Let's hook. First hook a chain stitch. Then let's hook 5 separate single crochets first. Mark the first stitch. Next we hook a decrease. We put the 6th and 7th stitches. These 2 stitches are reduced to 1 stitch. First through the front loop of the 6th single crochet, this single loop. Then through the front loop of the 7th stitch, the single layer loop. Then crochet. Hook yarn. Pull the yarn through these 2 loops at the same time. This is a decrease. The decrease is expressed for a letter. 5 single crochets and 1 decrease. It's a combination. Now let's go ahead and hook the second time. First hook 5 single crochets. Then a decrease. Let's take a look again. First through a front loop of the stitches. Through another front loop of stitches. Crochet the yarn and pull it over. Then parallel the stitches. This is a decrease. According to this method, hook all the next 4 times. So after the round 16, we lost 6 stitches. Become 36 stitches. Through a front loop of stitches. Through the front loop of the stitch and pull the yarn over and stitch it. Just hook all the 16 rounds in this way. By hooking the round 16, we learned how to hook single crochets decreased. The last 2 stitches are hooked with a decrease. Okay, we're hooked on round 16. After the hook is done, hook a lead stitch in the same way. Connect it. We're done with round 16. Now, let's hook round 17. Round 17, 1 single crochet in each stitch. Just hook 36 single crochets. So what about round 18? We'll change it to a white yarn to hook. At the same time, after each round is hooked, there is no need to hook a slip stitch anymore. Just keep the spiral hook as before. Hook all the back rounds 18 to 34. We only have these 4 rounds. It's with slip stitches. From round 18, we all use stitches of a spiral hook. Just keep going up the hook like this, while filling it with PP cotton. And now we're on round 34. Here we go. It's round 35. So what about round 35? We hooked 6 single crochets in a row. The head and body parts. It's hooked. Now we're going to do round 35. 6 decreases. Hook the first decrease first. Mark it well. then the second, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Okay, after the hook is done, lengthen the yarn. After the 35th round is hooked, there are still 6 stitches left. We use needles to shut up the top place. Each stitch through its front loop. Then tighten, so there's no hole in it. And then what happens is, you run the string through the rest. Cut the long part directly. Take a look at our heads and bodies. That's it. What's next? Let's hook the eye part of this panda. What about its beginning? It's a chain stitch. Make a loop like this first. Then the crochet goes in. Pull down appropriately. Lay the yarn with your left hand. Let's hook 5 chain stitches first. Pull it over and it's a chain stitch. Then continue to hook. After 5 chain stitches, we hook backwards. Thread the crochet into the 4th chain stitch. Let's hook 2 single crochets first. First hook 2 single crochets, then put on another stitch. Here we go. There is 1 single crochet in each of the 3rd and 2nd stitches. The 3rd stitch is hooked inside. The 2nd stitch is hooked inside. We thread the crochet into the 1st stitch. Hook for single crochets at the same time. 1, 2, and then 3. 4 stitches. After hooking these 4 stitches, we are in the 2nd and 3rd stitches. Put another single crochet on each. And we threaded crochet into the 4th stitch. Hook 2 more single crochets. How about this? Inside the 1st stitch and inside the 4th stitch. It's all 4 stitches. This is corresponding. After hooking, lengthen the yarn. Leave a long yarn. The tail is cut directly. Let's connect. The method of this connection, the connection method used before, is the same. Let's take a look. Skip the 1st stitch. Thread the needle from the position of the 2nd stitch. And then you find the last single crochet through its back loop. Along with the loop below, go through it together like this, so it's connected. According to the same method, we just hooked 2 of these eyes. Everyone follow me to hook. What about after we hook this eye part? So we're going to follow the diagram to hook. Just hook the panda's mouth well. Use a white yarn to hook. After each string of hooks is done, we need to give it a slip stitch. Then start a new round of hooks. Only this nose. We use the stitching method of this pull hook. We'll put the diagram on the screen in a moment. So follow the diagrams. Hook the other parts. This is the part with 2 legs. Use the spiral hook method to hook it. Method of magic ring. We're going to hook its 2 arms. What about the arm? It is also a stitch of the spiral hook. Then what about after the arm is hooked? Let's hook these 2 ears for him too. It's 2 ears. The ear is also a stitch of the spiral hook and a little tail. And I've just typed the diagram up on the screen. So just hook the diagram. Okay, after we hooked every part, we're going to start by putting the mouth on top of the body. After each part is hooked, I'll reserve 1 out of 1 yarn tail, later for suturing. And before the suture, let's start with this mouth. Let's watch the process. We are on this mouth. Draw a shape of an inverted triangle. That is to say, from here to here, draw a shape of an inverted triangle. Let's thread the needle from the top position first. The end of the yarn is hidden inside. And what about threading the stitches here? Through this side. Let me give you a general outline of this. Just this size is fine. And what happens in the middle? Repeat the process over and over again. Just pull this black yarn back and forth like this. They lay all threading needles in the same place. Just repeat it back and forth like this. So I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay, how about that? We sketch the nose for him like this. And then, what do? Take 2 out of them. Let's make this black yarn a little thinner. Then we start from the bottom of the nose. Thread the needle here. Then thread the needle under it and go out. This place is not right. Adjust it. Pull it up like this. That's it. After outlining it like this, let's put this mouth again. The stitch is sewn on this body. That's it. Cut the long part directly. We sew onto this body. So first we look at the suture position. We sewed it on the black yarn. Then we all know. We were on round 19. We have hooked 3 stitches on the left and right sides. Right. In other words, there are 10 single crochets in the middle. Let's take a look. On this side, there are 3 stitches. And then in the middle, we have 10 single crochets. There are 3 stitches on this side. It's right in front of us. We sew our mouths in this position. You just follow this mouth. Go to sew the out yarn of this round. That's it. Sewing in the middle. You can put a little PP cotton in it. Everyone followed me to sew. Okay, what about after the mouth is sewn? So we're going to sew on this arm. Fill this arm with PP cotton. When sewing, pinch it flat like this. Pinch it flat and sew it. Sewing on this black yarn part. The third and fourth rounds. The middle position is fine. The arms are symmetrical. Everyone followed me to sew. No difficulty. What about after this arm is sewn? So we're going to sew on this leg. Take a look inside the leg, also filled with PP cotton. So we're going to look at the suture of the legs. Let's count. We'll sew it on this 7th round. Just take a back position. Sew it like this. The legs are symmetrical. Just sew it up like this. Everyone followed me to sew. What about the panda's legs? Also before and after. There are 4 decreases in this place, right? What about these 4 decreases? We put it up front. Put it like this. Everyone followed me to sew. You sew along the out yarn of this round. Just fix it in this position. The legs are symmetrical. Everyone followed me to sew. Let's take a look. We sewed up both legs and sewed the little tail on the back. What about after the tail is sewn? Next we sew this part of the ear of the panda. Let's take a look. Let's look at the suture position. Count backwards from this position above your head. It's roughly sewn on this 6th round. Just take a back position. Sew it vertically like this. We can fix it with a setting stitch. The ears are symmetrical. Sew it like this. Where are these 2 ears from the mouth? If it's the same, it has to be a symmetrical distance. What about after it's fixed? See if this place is symmetrical. The right and left sides of this place must be symmetrical. And then we're going to sew. Just fix it in this position. Let's take a look. What about the location? Be sure to get it right for him. Through double layers. Sew it up like this. Everyone follow me. First, sew the 2 ears symmetrically for him. And finally, we're going to sew on the eyes a little bit more. Let's take a look. The eye position is very easy to find. Just sew him this place above his mouth. Close to this mouth and put it diagonally like this. The 2 eyes are symmetrical. Everyone follow me. Fix both eyes in this place first. Okay, what about after we sew this eye? We put 2 little black buttons on the top. Just use it as his eyeballs. Our cute one, the living panda, is done. All right, this is the end of our tutorial today. Thank you for watching. See you in the next tutorial.